What is your definition of social innovation?
Social innovation is sort of a category that wasn't even around 10 years ago and has been booming ever since. It's really about developing new ideas, new organizations, new strategies to attack social problems.
So what kind of people do you think are attracted into this new space?
A lot of young people these days. I mean, you can almost see a swing in sort of the zeitgeist pendulum, if you will, where 10 years ago, if you got out of a good school, there's a good chance you were probably headed to Wall Street. 30 years ago, if you got out of a good school, there was a good chance you wanted to be investigative journalists. I think a lot of the bloom is off the rose on the Wall Street money-making culture. I mean, one thing we found with the so-called millennial generation, all the way growing up, a great sense of, from when they were little, a great sense of volunteerism, a great sense of wanting to do something good with their lives, with the world. I mean, I think it's going to be less cool to be a banker and more cool to be a social innovator in a sense.
So one is interesting. The tagline for one is, "We want your voice, not your money." Say more about that.
Well, one's an advocacy organization. It's not something like CARE, where it has a lot of programs on the ground. I mean, our job pretty much is to lobby. I mean, Bono would say, one is like the NRA for the poor. We have 3 million members, activist members, and we have sort of a twofold approach to things where we do high-level lobbying with very high access. We're talking about heads of states and people just below it, to try and get countries, particularly countries in the G8, to live up to commitments they've made financially vis-a-vis the Millennium Development Goals. We track what they contribute versus what they've pledged, etc. So we tell people, we don't need your money.
Let's talk a little bit about RED. Why did Bono and Bobby create RED to begin with?
Well, in 2006, Bono and Bobby Shriver came up with, it is a pure form of social innovation, cause marketing, if you will. The idea is that the Global Fund, which is a public-private partnership, wasn't getting any money from the private part. It was being funded to great amounts by industrialized and other countries. So the idea was, how do we get money out of the private sector? And if companies aren't going to just give money over in terms of a grant, could we come up with a scheme that would be sustainable, that will allow companies to participate in a way that could enhance their own reputation and business and throw a lot of money to the Global Fund? To date, RED's raised almost $190 million, which is far more than we've gotten from any particular single country. And the idea is, RED is a trademark that we lend to partner companies like Apple, like Starbucks, like Converse and Nike, really high-level, high-imaging, I would say smart companies, to co-brand products with us. The sale, for things that people would buy anyway. I'm going to buy a red Nano versus a white Nano. If they're going to buy that Nano anyway, then why not offer them something where part of the money can go towards the Global Fund to specific programs that we have in place against HIV, AIDS, and to some extent malaria. And we've got tens of thousands of people alive that probably would have been dead, and we're looking towards now, 2015, seeing if we can apply our efforts to eliminating mother-to-child transmission of AIDS.
One of the things that obviously One and RED have in common is Bono. Can you say a bit about how you see, not just his, but celebrity in general working on behalf of social issues?
Well, we've got a celebrity-driven culture. I mean, take that for better or for worse. And the fact is, there's many different kinds of celebrities, and a celebrity endorsement can be a kiss of death. I mean, there's people out there applying their celebrity to one cause or another because basically a court has mandated them to do so. But you can find within the celebrity culture, there's a small group of very smart, very motivated, very informed people. Bono would be on that list, Matt Damon would be on that list, Ben Affleck is on that list, Christy Turlington would be on that list for sure. And they're able, through their celebrity, to get high-level access and to get high-level attention towards issues. The fact is, if you want to be good at this as a celebrity, you really have to know more about the subject than anybody you're going to generally come and talk in contact with. If you're going to be talking to a congressman, you better know a lot more about poverty and all the issues around it in Africa, say, than that congressman does. So you want to be able to blow their socks off.
So what do you think nonprofits can learn from corporations?
Corporations basically, in general, could be said to be run better than the not-for-profit world. I mean, there's a real focus on results, there's a real focus on delivery, there's a real focus on motivating a team, on hiring, and in terms of giving people proper feedback.
What do you think companies can learn from nonprofits?
You know, I think maybe they can learn to have a better soul, to be able to take the mechanism of whatever the business is and apply it to a cause in an innovative way is also probably good business because it reflects well on the company image-wise. And what I've also seen is that for the employee base in any company, to know that their company is involved in some type of socially responsible cause or effort, particularly if it's innovative, is a real great thing for company morale.
You're spending a lot of time in Afghanistan lately. What are you up to there?
Well, I used to live there in the 70s in a different era, and I developed a crush on the country. And I've gone back to work in the television business there, which sort of takes my career full cycle. And I find it to be very, very stimulating and very effective. One of the only things that has really worked since the ousting of the Taliban in 2001 has been the development of an independent media sector. And you've got a country that has never been connected to the outside world, never really had television to begin with, never really connected to each other. And I had the good fortune to meet with a young entrepreneur who had come back to Afghanistan and was able to see the future, that there could be a private independent television business, and secured a $250,000 loan from USAID, which led to the creation of Talo TV, several other networks. They have over a 50 share of the 75 stations that exist in Afghanistan today, and is a source of great social change, gender equality, giving aspirations to people, giving them heroes that don't exist. And it's been shown time and time again that television is probably the most effective change agent in the world. So that's a lot of fun. There's a show they call Afghan Star, which is sort of like an American Idol. And we took people from all over Afghanistan. Thousands of people came to compete. This isn't a country, mind you, where singing, television, everything was illegal even 4 years before this. And we have the people, 15 million people would watch the finals. Half of the population of Afghanistan would watch this on television. Just the simple act of people singing, having a normal life, enjoying themselves, and seeing that it's fine to do that. That's one example. We have a show that's sort of like their version of 24, and it's a paramilitary police force, 2 males, 2 females, which in and of itself in Afghanistan is unique. They stop suicide bombers, bad guys, and it's a police drama show, and it's so popular that the principals who act in it, when they go out into the streets in their private lives, they wear their costumes. They're mobbed like they're Beatles or something. It's pretty amazing. On top of it is a big news organization. And in a country where very few institutions work, the fourth estate of television, not just Talo TV, but many of the other ones, in terms of being a watchdog for people, in terms of justice issues, corruption issues, security issues, has been amazing.
And what's your role? What do you do?
Well, I've helped them organize in terms of staffing, trying to, it reminded me very much of when I started at MTV in 1980. We didn't know what we were doing either, and how you can take your production capability and move it up notch by notch and get better and better in doing things and become more ambitious, work with their sales group. So I'm an advisor. I help make connections with the top management there, with various places on the western side that could be helpful.